For thousands of years, every journey across water has started with the same challenge. How do you move safely across a surface that cannot support your weight? The answer has produced thousands of different designs. Some were built for exploration, some for fishing, some for speed, some for survival. But almost every boat in existence can trace its origins back to a handful of simple ideas that proved so effective they never disappeared. From vessels little more than floating platforms to designs refined over thousands of years of use, these are the boats that shaped humanity's relationship with water. Dinghy. The dinghy is where almost every relationship with water begins. Small enough to be carried on a roof rack, light enough to be launched by one person, simple enough to be understood in an afternoon. It is the entry point to boating in the same way a bicycle is the entry point to personal transport. At its most basic, a dinghy is an open boat between 8 and 15 feet long, propelled by oars, a small outboard engine, or a single sail depending on the version and the intention of whoever is using it. It serves as a tender for larger vessels, a training platform for sailors learning the fundamentals of wind and water before moving to more demanding boats, and a fishing vessel on lakes and rivers where nothing larger is needed or practical. The dinghy does not specialize. It is the most versatile small boat ever conceived, adapting to whatever the person using it requires, and it has been doing that across every culture that has ever lived near water for as long as boats have existed. If the dinghy is where most people begin boating, the next vessel represents where boating itself began. Rowboat. The rowboat is the oldest human-powered vessel still in common use, a direct descendant of the first boats ever built, propelled by the same mechanical principle that moved the earliest watercraft across the earliest lakes. 2 oars, 2 oarlocks, one person facing backward, pulling the water toward them and moving the boat in the opposite direction. The physics have not changed in 10,000 years. What has changed is the material. Wood gave way to aluminum, aluminum to fiberglass, fiberglass to modern composites. But the fundamental relationship between the rower and the water remains identical to what it was before any other form of propulsion existed. Rowboats serve fishermen on sheltered waters, recreational users on lakes and rivers, and competitive rowers at every level. From weekend recreation to Olympic competition, they are the boat stripped of everything except the essential relationship between a person, 2 oars, and the water beneath them. Nothing about them is unnecessary. Nothing about them has ever needed to be reinvented. For most of human history, muscle power was enough. But eventually people needed a boat that could travel farther, carry more, and reach places other vessels simply could not. Canoe. The canoe is the boat that opened continents. Indigenous peoples of North America used it to travel river systems connecting the interior of continent to its coasts, trade routes, migration corridors, and exploration paths that European settlers could not have navigated without adopting the same vessel. The birch bark canoe was an engineering achievement of the first order. Lightweight enough to be portaged overland between river systems, strong enough to carry significant loads, and shallow enough to navigate rivers that would ground any deeper vessel. The modern canoe retains the same fundamental geometry. An open hull pointed at both ends, paddled from a kneeling or seated position with a single-bladed paddle and the same capability. It goes where other boats cannot follow. Shallow rivers, narrow channels, and overland portages between bodies of water. What made it irreplaceable 5 centuries ago makes it irreplaceable today. The canoe solved the problem of reaching places other boats could not. The next vessel solved a different problem entirely. What happens when the water fights back? Kayak. The kayak was developed by the Inuit peoples of the Arctic as a hunting vessel. A closed deck boat that sealed around the paddler's waist, preventing water from entering even when the boat rolled completely inverted. That feature separates it fundamentally from the canoe. A canoe swamps when it fills with water. A kayak properly sealed can be rolled back upright from a complete inversion by the paddler without taking on water. A technique called the Eskimo roll that remains one of the most demanding skills in paddle sports and one of the most essential for anyone using a kayak in serious conditions. Sea kayaks cross open ocean. Whitewater kayaks descend rivers that no other vessel survives. Touring kayaks cover hundreds of miles of coastline at a pace that combines exercise with landscape in a way no motorized vessel replicates. The kayak is the most performance-oriented human-powered boat ever designed, and the refinement that went into its original development by Arctic hunters still shows in every modern version of the hull. For thousands of years, boats were shaped primarily by geography. The next vessel was shaped by something much simpler, the need for a cheap, durable boat that could work every day without complaint. John Boat. The John Boat is the working boat of American inland waterways. A flat-bottomed aluminum hull that goes almost anywhere shallow water exists and asks almost nothing of the person operating it. It drafts inches rather than feet, which means it floats in water that would ground every other motorized boat. It is stable enough to stand in, which matters to fishermen who need to cast from a standing position in moving water. It is cheap to buy, cheap to run, and cheap to repair. A combination that has made it the dominant small workboat on rivers, lakes, swamps, and boats across the American South and Midwest for the better part of a century. Farmers use them to tend flooded fields. Wildlife managers use them to access marshland. Hunters use them to reach duck blinds before dawn. It does all of them reliably at low cost in conditions that challenge more sophisticated vessels. And that combination has kept it in continuous production long after more advanced designs became available. Most boats earn their reputation through performance. Some earn it through usefulness. The next boat became popular for an entirely different reason. People discovered that sometimes the destination matters less than the company. Pontoon Boat. The pontoon boat is the floating living room. A wide flat deck mounted on 2 or 3 aluminum tubes that provide buoyancy without the hull shape conventional boats require. It prioritizes space over speed, comfort over performance, and social interaction over any individual activity. A pontoon boat can seat 20 people comfortably, carry a grill, a cooler, a sound system, and a swim platform, and navigate a calm lake at speeds that allow conversation without shouting. It is the dominant leisure boat on American inland lakes because it solves the central problem of recreational boating. How do you put a group of people on water in a way that is comfortable, safe, and accessible to people with no boating experience? The answer the pontoon provides is simple. Give them a platform that is essentially a patio that floats. The engineering is straightforward. The experience it delivers is exactly what the majority of recreational boaters actually want. Not every recreational boater wants to relax. Some want speed, some want spray, and some want the closest thing water has to a sports car. Bowrider. The Bowrider is the sports car of recreational boating, an open bow vessel designed for speed, agility, and the experience of moving across water at pace. The open bow, which extends seating forward of the windshield into the front of the boat, is the defining feature. Passengers face into the wind and spray rather than sitting behind glass looking at the back of the driver's head. At speed, the Bowrider lifts its bow and planes across the surface, reducing drag and increasing speed in a way that feels fundamentally different from displacement hulls that push through water rather than skim above it. They are used for water skiing, wakeboarding, tubing, and general high-speed recreation on lakes and sheltered coastal waters. The Bowrider is not the most practical boat on this list. It is the most fun in the specific sense that fun means speed, noise, and the sensation of moving across water faster than everything around you. Most boats choose between land and water. The next vehicle refuses to make that choice. Hovercraft. The Hovercraft is not fully a boat. It rides on a cushion of pressurized air contained by a flexible rubber skirt, touching neither the water surface nor the ground beneath it. This apparent limitation is its greatest operational advantage. A hovercraft crosses water, mud, marsh, ice, sand, and shallow beach without changing speed or requiring any modification to the vehicle. Military hovercraft deliver assault troops directly onto beaches that no conventional landing craft can reach. Civilian hovercraft operate ferry services across estuaries where tidal conditions defeat conventional vessels. Rescue hovercraft reach flood victims stranded in shallow water over submerged terrain that no boat can navigate and no land vehicle can cross. The physics that make the hovercraft strange are the same physics that make it irreplaceable in the specific conditions where its combination of water and land capability has no alternative. For thousands of years, humanity has adapted boats to every environment imaginable. From simple wooden vessels powered by muscle to machines that travel on cushions of air, the goal has remained remarkably consistent. Move farther. Carry more. Go places that were previously unreachable. The designs changed. The purpose never did. And every boat on this list represents a different answer to the same question. How do you cross water when the water refuses to make it easy?